Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're counting down our picks for the 10 PS2 games that deserve a remake. For this list, we'll be looking at the games from Sony's most successful console to date that deserve a second chance with modern gamers. The PS2 has no shortage of games deserving of a remake. Let us know which ones you'd like to see down in the comments. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Need for Speed Underground. The right game in the right place can make all the difference in the world. And that's never been more true with Need for Speed Underground. Released at the peak of the Fast and Furious franchise's original run in popularity, this game was every street racer and family's dream come true. Successful enough to produce a much beloved sequel that took the concept to the open world, there's still something about the arcadey nature of the first title. From memorizing the tracks to shave precious seconds off of your time, or hitting that nitrous boost seconds from the finish line to overtake first place, it is chef's kiss good. That adrenaline-pumping feeling of narrowly winning a drag race by an inch or a mile is still a rush that the series has yet to recapture even almost 2 decades later.
I may push the limits of my car on the track, but off it, I drive safely and responsibly. Save the racing for the track, and if you feel the need for speed, just play Underground.
The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Given the fact that one of the main draws of gaming is the quote-unquote power fantasy that comes with losing yourself in a game, it's honestly remarkable that the Hulk hasn't had more time in the spotlight. A character almost perfectly designed for the video game space, and given the character's unwavering popularity, it's criminal we haven't had a proper Hulk video game since this classic back on PS2.
Banner, what did you do to me, you freak? You've turned me into an abomination.
No other game to date featuring the mean green fighting machine has even come close to giving players the feeling of all that rage and power at their fingertips. With the ability to power up and completely level the battlefield, as well as freely explore and destroy to your heart's content, the time has come for the Hulk to reclaim his rightful place as the world's strongest weapon of destruction.
Our bullets are just bouncing off! We're gonna need the army to stop this thing!
Eco. Team Eco and Japan Studio came out swinging with their first game, and it was instantly a hit with critics and quickly achieved cult status. While the sequel Shadow of the Colossus was undoubtedly more of a commercial success, Eco still holds a special place in the hearts of many gamers. Following the titular character Eco as he is locked away in a castle after being shunned by his village for his horns, he soon meets another captive in the castle, a young girl named Yorda, and the two set about finding a means of escape by solving a myriad of puzzles and fighting off shadows determined to recapture Yorda once again. Given the incredible remake of Shadow of the Colossus, it seems only right for the title that started it all to be given the same treatment and brought into the modern age for a whole new generation. Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII. Before we begin, let's get something straight. Dirge of Cerberus is not a great game. It's alright, it's fine, but that's not why it made it on this list. What makes this game special is actually the recent release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Originally, the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, including Advent Children and Crisis Core, were meant to flesh out the world of Final Fantasy VII and not necessarily be considered canon. That all changed, however, after the release of Remake, and now all additional content is part of 7's lore. With this in mind, Dirge of Cerberus becomes very integral and deserving of the same love and attention the original title has been given to fully flesh out its world, gameplay, and characters, as well as continue the story of Vincent Valentine after the events of Remake, however they might turn out in the end.
I'm sorry I let you suffer. For so long. Vincent, take care of her, will you?
Wait.
Resident Evil Code Veronica X. Who's in charge of greenlighting the remakes over at Capcom? I just want to have a word about continuity with them. So far, we've had amazing remakes of Resi 1 and 2, the well-meaning remake of 3, and now news of a remake of 4 on the way. Where is the love for what is canonically the next game after 3?
Well, it seems your brother is under surveillance by Umbrella.
What? I've got to contact Leon and tell him to let my brother know he's being monitored.
Claire Redfield is definitely a fan-favorite character who has been missing from the mainline games for far too long. And while she did make a comeback in Revelations 2, there's no excuse for her first solo outing to be left in the past, considering the other remakes' current successes. Code Veronica was also the last mainline entry to still embrace the series' cramped corridor and puzzle-based architecture before losing itself to the more action-heavy future entries, and would look absolutely outstanding in Capcom's RE engine.
You're responsible for the creation of the T Veronica virus. And now the only existing sample is in your body. I want it. Now!
Metal Arms, glitch in the system.
Hey, over here! Zombie found something! What kind of droid is that?
I don't know. I've never seen anyone like him.
Let's get him back to Droid Town.
Metal Arms Glitch in the System is definitely a title that a lot of people slept on during its initial release, and that's a shame because it's genuinely a very good shooter with an engaging story and likable characters. Playing as the amnesiac Glitch, you take on the evil General Corrosive and his armies to protect the last remaining droid settlements from the General's ever-advancing war machine. The game was generally well received by critics and even set up a sequel by the time credits rolled. However, it failed to generate the sales necessary to make that a reality.
You got a screw loose, kid? What the hell do you know about fighting Mills, newbie?
Nada. You got any other options, Chief?
Yeah, well, learn fast or die trying.
Being able to revisit a game with all the groundwork already in place, just remade in something like the Unreal Engine 5, could prove this little robot's journey was more than just a glitch in the system.
Does his ID chip still function?
Yeah, says his name is Glitch.
All right, Glitch. Welcome to the Droid Rebellion.
The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Oh, do I have to?
You can drop it off on the way to work.
And I have to go to work?
We all know how much EA loves money. And yet, even though The Simpsons might not be as popular as they used to be, they are still undoubtedly a money-printing franchise that EA has completely squandered in the last decade. Released during the wave of GTA clones hitting the market, The Simpsons Hit and Run finally found a formula that was perfect for the license.
Sorry, Bart. I can't serve booze to a minor. It ain't right.
I'm here to buy fireworks.
Oh, hell yeah.
A fully realized and explorable Springfield, all the beloved characters brought to life by their original voice actors, and a hilarious script with input from the show's creators themselves, Hit and Run finally managed to make more than just a clone of the popular franchise. This is undoubtedly one of the most requested remakes by fans, and with EA seemingly on a new track of listening to the fans and putting games first, maybe there's finally hope in revisiting Springfield once again.
I gotta get the new Bone Storm or I'll be as uncool as Millhouse. I'm standing right here, Bart. Hey, that's great.
Dark Cloud. It seems like every other game nowadays has found ways to add settlement building elements into their games, so why not bring back one of the earliest titles to experiment with the possibility of combining those ideas into an RPG? After a dark genie destroys your village, Tone ventures into randomly generated dungeons to retrieve pieces of your village and its residents and rebuild your home better than before. The game featured many survival elements such as a thirst meter, as well as a weapon leveling system in place of the standard character level up progression. This was about as close as PlayStation gamers got to a Legend of Zelda title on their system, and with Level 5 still making games today, they owe it to themselves to revisit the title that helped launch their success in the RPG genre that continues with the Ni no Kuni franchise. PsyOps, the Mindgate Conspiracy.
What?
Before there was Control or even the Force Unleashed, there was PsyOps. A game that gave you psionic abilities that let you throw not only objects around the environment, but enemies as well. You could take over a foe and use them to attack their allies, or even quite literally blow their minds. While the story was engaging enough and had more than a few twists and turns, the gameplay was where the title truly shined, and is even more impressive given the tech it was running on back in 2004. However, despite all the critical praise and love from the fanbase, the game never received a sequel despite ending on a shockingly blatant cliffhanger that still bothers me to this day. PsyOps laid a lot of groundwork for psionic powers in gaming, and it's time the OG Psy operative took back control.
Nick, if we don't meet again,
We will.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Rumble Racing, an arcade racer full of trick boosts and power-ups that is just genuinely fun to play.
Watch out for balls!
The Thing, the original Among Us and a direct sequel to the 1982 classic film. Tony Hawk's Underground. The time has come to crush that backstabbing Eric Sparrow in 4K and 60 frames per second.
Too bad no one ever saw it.
You backstabbing, mob-flipping cockroach!
Hey! What do you say? One last trip around the neighborhood. Winner takes the tape.
Burnout 3 Takedown. Often imitated, but never duplicated, Burnout 3 is a game whose DNA is still felt in arcade racing games almost 2 decades after release. The perfect blend of speed and vehicular carnage, Burnout 3 was the culmination of what the series had been building to and nailed every aspect of its varied gameplay. Besides the standard racing events that saw you slam your opponents to gain the upper hand, as well as a much needed boost, the game featured the fan favorite Crash Mode, which tasks players with creating as much financial damage as possible before their car becomes nothing more than twisted metal. Even with the series' most successful entry taking Burnout Open World, Burnout 3 set not only the bar for all future arcade racers, but the entire racing game genre that has yet to be met, even to this day. Do you agree with our picks? If you like this video, there's more where that came from.